was a disc jockey at WBCN as well. And that goes back into what, the late 60s, mid 60s, late 60s?
Yeah, somewhere like there. But I had the Wolf of Goof and Mama Tufa show, Welcome to Little Ladies at Night, keeping hey, all the ships out at sea, doing a toot and getting right through it, having a little fun until the midnight sun. Give us a call and don't you stall. We're going to be doing it all. If it's in you, it's got to come out because that's what rock and roll is all about. Can you say that? Can you repeat that? Bubby, can you repeat that?
Yeah. Give them a week and get it done. Before we get started, I just want to tell a quick story, and I tell the story all the time, and there's a message behind it, and that is
I owe you money.
Well, I didn't want to say that in front of these people. I was going to embarrass you, but it's amazing when you do something kind to someone, how that will live on for a long time. You know, you may not see it in the news or anything else, but that's not the point. The point is it's a spiritual thing, and I say that about Peter because when I first came to PLR in '86. I was a young man. I was a 30-year-old man, and into rock and roll all my life. Grew up in the '60s, of course, Jay Geils and everyone else, and working at PLR, which has been a rock station now for 48 years. I was honored to be there. The point I'm getting to is I got to interview a lot of great people on the afternoon show, and when I knew Peter was coming in, you were doing Toad's Place.
Right.
You played Toad's a bunch of times.
Oh
yes, yeah, and would stop by the station. And I get to interview him. So the first time I met him, he came up, and I was doing a feature at night called The Blues Fix at 6.
I remember it.
And we started talking about the blues and everything, and I was getting a lot of material from the record companies and everything. And you had your bus outside, whatever. And I remember giving you a handful of CDs. Say, Peter, if you're on the bus, here's some stuff to listen to. You know, it's 2 weeks later.
A bus, a broken down Impala.
About 2 weeks later, I get a letter from the radio station, and I think you were living in the Prue building then. I'm not sure. Prudential Center? I don't know. Well, it said, I think you're in Boston somewhere. And I said, who the hell can this be? Open it up. It was a handwritten thank you note from this gentleman right here. And that was about 27 years ago. And on the radio today, when I play Jay Geils or, talk about you, I always pass that story along because it's a good thing, man. It's what life is all about.
Well, thank you.
And that's it. Good night.
Here's my.
That's all I got to say.
They're actually printed notes that look like handwritten. You see, no. But I remember because you gave me a whole bunch of things for my little beat up Impala, so that was good.
I said tour bus because I was, trying.
Well, yeah, you're trying to elevate the situation.
But as I say, and since then I've seen him, maybe a half a dozen times between 1990 and now. The last time was about 3 years ago. He was here at the Richfield Playhouse, and we were chatting backstage, and we took a selfie together, and I used that as my Christmas card.
Well,
Merry Christmas from
my sympathies
from Mike and Petey. First of all, how you doing?
Very good.
You look good. You got the
album The Rock tonight.
Yeah, you got to do a lot from the latest album. I had to have cheat notes here. The Cure for Loneliness came out last year. You're going to be doing a lot from that album as well.
We're going to be doing a mix-up from Cure from Loneliness, some of the other solo records, some other things. We're doing a little surprise tribute tonight. Okay, and then we're doing a couple of my favorite Geils songs and things like that. So it'll be shall we say, a smorgasbord of music.
And again, I've seen Peter a bunch of times, and I'm not going to sit here and just keep blowing smoke up your ass, but definitely, and I mean it sincerely, and I guess you guys will all agree, one of the best frontmen in the business, bar none. You are up there with any other worldwide name as being the frontman of a band. You're incredible.
Me and Barry Manilow,
that's the big surprise. Barry's going to be joining us on stage tonight.
There you go. That was a special surprise. Yeah, now you blew it. Now it's not a surprise.
The Peter Wolf version of Mandy will be tonight. I'd be remiss
reggae style.
We may have something there.
Hey.
I'd be remiss in not right now talking a little bit about Jay Geils, who passed away suddenly. As far as I guess death is pretty sudden, but he was never thought he was sick or anything else, and. You've had a relationship with him since 1965, 66, or 60s, when you guys started the band. It was actually it was just the four of you, right? You didn't have Seth Justman at that time in the beginning.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's like...
Well, it's as... it always comes as a shock and a surprise we had spent many, like good 18 years kicking it high and rocking down the house. And so we think about all the good years and the good times we had, and that's all one can do. We all, as we get older, things happen, people we love and miss. It's that mystery we all go through. But I like to put my mind back to those great days where we're just, we used to do like 285 one-nighters a year.
Yeah.
And just drive from little city to city, set up. And this was when you check into a hotel, if they found out you were a rock and roll band, they put you way back where the construction was. Today, if you're a rock and roll band, you stay in the hotel, you're up on the marquee. Hey, welcome Def Leppard. So those days, boy, I'll tell you. So yes, we went through a whole lot together. So it's you kind of can't replace those kind of things.
Yeah, and also, Peter, I mean, you're a musician that works in the music business, and that's two very important words. Obviously, music with talent, but it's also a business. And Jay Geils, I mean, from 70 to 83, I think. You guys had that incredibly long run. Then it kind of broke down. People, I guess, go different ways. You went off to Lights Out, came out about a year later, I think. And I remember that album. It was just incredible. I mean, things happen. When was the last time you talked to Jay? Was it a while ago? I know things got strained, and over the past couple of years. I mean, everybody knows that by reading any music industry magazine. The last time I saw the complete band, minus Steve and Joe, was Mohegan Sun New Year's Eve.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, if I had to relive another night, I would do that in a heartbeat. That was a night that you guys
I remember that night.
were just, I mean, off the wall. Magic Dick, he was just incredible. You, the rest of the band, and I may have been the last time Jay played with you guys. I'm not sure.
No, we did a couple other things, but Jay, was kind of a reclusive guy. He didn't, sort of, he kept to himself. So there wasn't, if it wasn't playing and getting together, we didn't have, as the later years, much interaction.
Yeah. Because the last couple of times the band went out as Jay Geils Band, he wasn't in the band.
Right.
He wanted to, and I can understand. See, this gets into the business part of it, and this is where it becomes real. Like,
I'll answer this for you. When you have a band, and it's not unlike a marriage, but marriage, it's just basically two people. When you have a band that's been together for a really long time, and it's people like you could just look at the history of the Rolling Stones, the history of even the Beatles had conflicts, and they were suing each other, and you would wonder that they created things. And you just go down to any band, be it the Eagles, the Allman Brothers. There's personality changes. Dickie Betts, they all Dickie was, certain things happen which causes disharmony amongst the major group, and that tends to happen in groups because people change. We all get together when we're young in our teens or early 20s, and you're together for 15, 20 years, and things develop. And so that's what happens to a lot of bands. And then the other thing, too, is the creative vision of what should we be doing, what kind of music should we be doing. And a lot of times it's hard to stay in sync with that as times change. And so when you read the history of bands, Led Zeppelin, I mean, you can almost mention any band.
Pretty much every band is right.
The Who has gone through changes. Sometimes it's because someone's deceased. Sometimes they bump somebody out because of disagreements. So it's all complicated. But you try, at least what we have done when the Geils Band got together for reunions, was to keep the musical energy and bar high. And that was the only reason why I went back, was knowing that we can achieve that. It was so much a part of my life, and so many years I dedicated to helping write the songs and put on the shows and organize, and I kind of managed the band. So it always has a dear spot in my heart. But so do these incredible musicians I have tonight, which we have a brotherhood that's been. We record and travel together, and they're really. And the difference is that when bands start, they start young. You don't quite know what's coming, but as things develop, it's not unlike having a movie, and you can pick the exact actors and people that you want, and have that freedom of choice that you don't quite have when you're young, because you don't really know what's. I mean, people always say to me, "Why is it called the Jay Geils Band?" And
well, that's the thing. When he passed away.
Believe me, my phone rang a lot.
Well, they thought that
really I'm dead.
The centerfold singer died, and it's like, well, no, he didn't, because I'm going to see him Saturday night. A lot of people got that confused. But just going back,
I might die tonight.
Oh, you kidding? I remember a quick story, and you guys are of age that you remember the movie Help by the Beatles. All right. Now I'm talking as a fan goes. Now, there was a scene in the movie when they're all walking in line to these brownstones. They had 4 separate stairs that went to their apartments. And they all walked up at the same time. They opened up the door, and it was one big hall, where John would flop in the bed and Paul would play. And that's the way people, I think, at that time conceive these bands is what they did. They lived together. They were happy together. Everything in every place they went to was all one big party. So when things happen, like a breakup or someone leaves, I think it really affects the fans. Like, oh my God, what's wrong? Mom and dad are breaking up, and I think that's true a lot with all music in general, and especially what you just explained. Things happen. You go different ways, different tastes in music. You and Seth, I think, did most of the writing for Jay Geils.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be a head bumping session in many cases, right?
No, it's just that you try to keep, to use a musical term, harmony, and you try to prevail and endure as long as you can, and long as the spirit's there, and that's what I think we achieved that. And I'd rather it sort of end rather than going on a situation where you get disappointed or you feel disappointed in it. So I'm proud of what we achieved with the Geils Band.
Well, it's one of the best live albums that I think. I mean, Blow Your Face Out, of course, I love. But I tell you something, the first live Jay Geils album I got, I think it was 1972, was a senior in high school, was Full House. And that was just...
That's probably, if someone's asked me my favorite Geils album, Desert Island, I would say Full House.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that one of their biggest audiences, one of their biggest fan base was where that was recorded, in Detroit.
Right.
I mean, being a Boston guy, well, New York originally, but Boston guy, that was amazing. And obviously the album, beginning to end, is just unbelievable. But anyhow, I'm getting a signal. We're going to wrap it up. I'm sure you got sound check you got to do. Can we take one? Can we take one question from the audience? Is that all right? Is there someone?
Of course. No questions. Okay.
No
It's a real pleasure to meet you. Been a fan of yours my whole life.
Oh, thank you.
I saw you at Boston College. You did dance there, and it brought the house down. We had such a great time. I just wanted to ask you, one of my favorite solo albums that you did was with Shelby Lynne. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? And also, can you talk about the band a little bit? I'd like to know the guys you're playing with tonight.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shelby Lynne, she is a force of nature. She's a double-fisted bourbon-drinking lady. And I was down in Nashville with a friend of mine who lived in Boston, and we were writing this song called Tragedy. And he did a lot of work for a group, Kings of Leon, and wrote a lot of songs for them. And he was in a Boston band, Face to Face, named is Angelo. And Angelo finished the song, and I said, man, it would be great if we could just make this song a duet. And he said, well, who would you use? And first name just popped in my head as soon as he asked me, it was Shelby Lynne. He said, did you ever meet her? I said, no, but I love her last record, I Am Shelby Lynne. And so I called up a friend later that night, a woman that worked in publishing, and also a good friend of mine, name is Sue Drew. I said, Sue, do you know anybody who might know Shelby Lynne? She goes, so funny you ask. I'm having dinner with her tonight. I said, would you ask her if she, would, if I sent her a track, if she was think of doing a duet? And so next day, she said, man, she'd love to hear what you got. And I sent it to her, and the day after, I got this message, Peter, she's dying to do it. And, she would just like to do it together with you, blah, 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 blah. So she was out in Los Angeles. I'll tell you a little funny story. I had this huge crush on Shelby Lynne. And so I'm all nervous and get to the airport, going out to L.A., and I rented out. I told the guy I want a big Cadillac. And she was at a hotel, and I took the Cadillac, and driving up to the hotel. She's out there, sitting there, looking all up with a cigarette, and I say, hey, Shelby, how you doing? She said, hey, man. She had a glass in her hand, and she sits in the driver's seat, and we start driving. We're in L.A., going to some Topanga Canyon or whatever it is going around. And finally she says to me, Peter, can you all pull over the side of the road? And I figured, yeah. So we pull over, and she says, Peter, you're the worst goddamn driver I ever driven with. Get out and let me take over. Well, we cut that track, and we've remained friends ever since, and she's still out there making great records. She's a hellfire gal and enormous talent. But thank you for asking.
That's good.
And then your second part of the question, the Midnight Travelers are friends of mine and musicians that are probably the A-team of all the musicians in Boston, and they are. You'll hear them tonight. They are incredible. And each guy has a long pedigree. They've done millions of sessions. They're on lots of the records you probably have. They played with almost everybody. They travel around the world, and I'm really honored that they're spend time. I book them out, and you'll hear them tonight. They kick it high, as I like to say.
Can we take one? Can we take time? One more? One more? Do we? Anybody? I'm just.
I love Jay Geils. Love your music for years. I just wonder who was the best person that you think you've ever done like a duet with or played with, or other than Jay Geils.
Well, it's hard to say, because if you work with somebody like Mick Jagger or Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin I can do. Mick Jagger, I don't like it.
Well, that's why Howard Johnson's has 28 different flavors, because.
I would consider Mick Jagger an honor.
Well, then you don't have to do a duet with him. but when you're doing duets, don't do it with Mick. We can get Barry Manilow, right?
Yeah, no. Absolutely. He's waiting.
No, but I didn't do duets with them. I'm saying that I have done with Mick, and it was great. I recorded with Aretha Franklin, and that was great. I recorded with Merle Haggard, that was great. And I recorded with Keith Richards, and that was great. And Nico Case, and a whole lot of people. So it goes way back. A lot of the blues gentlemen I got to record with Muddy Waters and James Cotton. So yeah, we played together. I saw Chuck not too long before he passed, and we spent some time together. He and Keith Richards and I up in the JFK Library up in Boston. Yeah, and he was always, very, very nice to me. And when I was 10 years old, my sister was a dancer in the Alan Freed Big Beat show. Oh. And on the one show was Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, Dion and the Belmonts, Buddy Holly and the Crickets, Joanne Campbell and the Blonde Bombshell, and the Chantels. And so when Chuck Berry started duck walking across the stage, I said, Yama, Gama, Guma, Luma, that's for me. So
that's it.
He's been the soundtrack to my life, Chuck has. Probably about $2.
Yeah, if that
and
a
less, movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Alan Freed did a lot of those great rock and roll shows, and then Murray the K took over, too,
right.
down. And now you're talking New York.
Right.
when you're dying in the Bronx.
Right.
Yeah, Arthur Avenue.
Yeah, there you go. Dion country.
That's it. Hey, listen, thank you, Peter. It's as I was saying on the air for the past couple of weeks, when we gave away tickets to the listeners, I said, man, I can't wait for you to meet this guy because he's probably one of the coolest dudes you ever want to meet. A real natural guy. I love you, man.
Well,
That's all I
thank
can
you.
tell you.